Hey, what's up, guys? We got a cool video today, but something that came up that I need to address here. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's definitely something we need to talk about, okay? So, something came up where my team leader messaged me and said, "What is this?" And basically it says Saxon, this is a post on Twitter or X. It says Saxon is a fraud. All the kill videos are stolen. I worked in Valor. Uncovered face. The only Valor is stolen Valor. Blah blah. Hey man, just a warning, but your boy Vegas, aka Saxon, is getting a lot of flack online. You might want to contact this guy. Okay, so this person, this Saxon apparently is a call sign that was working with a group called Valor, maybe whatever. I don't know who Valor is or any of these people, but he has a bad reputation apparently here, and it's starting to people are starting to think it's me because my real name is Saxon, right? I say it in every fucking video. But so okay, this happened yesterday, right? I was like, all right, that's strange. I've never met another Saxon in my entire life, let alone now there's two in Ukraine. Like that's funny. But I found out it was his call sign, not his real name. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then somebody sent me this yesterday. After that, this is on the Ukraine Foreign Legion Reddit page. It says, "Is it a terrible idea to join this unit? Got invited by Saxon or Vegas. Hey guys, I'm heading to Ukraine in January and I've decided to join the 13th Hatya Brigade, which is the brigade I talk about on my channel. But I've heard one of the people in charge of the volunteer unit is a complete asshole. He goes by Saxon or Vegas. I've been talking back and forth with him, and he told me to come when I'm ready. Not sure how much experience this guy has, but the things people say about him on this sub is giving red flags." This says, "Don't do it. Guy is a jackass." Then this person replied, said, "Thanks for letting me know. Don't want to be misled by this guy." And now down here it says, "Yeah, there was a post here yesterday about him being a scam artist." That was that first post I showed you. I'm pretty sure it was Saxon anyway. If you go through posts from the last day or two, you should find it handy. So so this guy in the original post is accurate, right? With what he's saying. With the exception of what he said, he's in charge of a volunteer unit and he's a complete asshole. I am in charge of no volunteer unit, okay? I want to be very, very clear about this up front. I hope you do not come to Ukraine. I hope you do not come to Ukraine, for those of you who are watching, and do not fight in Ukraine, okay? Because it is extremely dangerous and the odds of you getting hurt or dying are very high, okay? My content is strictly for people who have already made up their mind, like I had a couple years ago when I first came, for people who already made up their mind and they're on their way out here, okay? I want them to have the most knowledge possible before they arrive in this shithole, right? And just get blindsided, okay? And by shithole, I mean just the war in general, not Ukraine. Ukraine's amazing. So, with that said, there's a couple of things. I'm not collecting donations or making any money off of this stuff. Okay, there is no monetary value or gain for me. I think I have like 5 members currently, and these people choose to support me and my channel. I make money off of that. I think right now it's like $20 a month. Okay, in total. So I want to be clear that I'm not doing anything here that is scandalous, or because there are a lot of people in Ukraine who claim to be certain things just to get donations and money and gear and shit like that. I'm not asking for anything from you guys, never have, except for a subscribe. So I needed to address this because this Saxon guy, call sign Saxon, is given a really bad fucking reputation to the only other Saxon in country, which is me. And that's my real name. And now they hear his name is Saxon, and now they're linking it with Vegas because that's what I go by. And people know me here as Vegas. So I've got people hitting me up like, dude, what's going on? So down here, this guy says, "Don't do it. Guy is a jackass." I of course I blocked out all the names because I don't know these people. I don't want to put them on blast. But maybe he's referring to that initial, that first Saxon guy. Maybe not me. I don't know. But I am working with a team that'll be working with Hatia the 13th, excuse me, the 13th Brigade. Actually, I had a viewer come into town yesterday. I met with him, we got lunch, and I sent him to meet up with the people for the 13th Brigade. They took him, they got a beer with him, they got him lunch and took him to the base. There's no bullshit about this. If you're on your way out, I'm recommending this because I don't want you to go die in the fucking International Legion like a lot of my friends have. Okay? Me sending people to the 13th doesn't get me anything, right? That's it. It's just a unit that I'm familiar with that's taking foreign volunteers, and it's going to be a much better bet than the International Legion right now. That's it. Okay, so just wanted to address that, guys, because that's silly. But anyways, we have this new video. It's from Resonance. We watch a lot of their shit. It says, Russian commander who fights for Ukraine talks about the war, Russia and Putin. I want to watch this shit. Let's check it out.
We attacked the territory of the Russian Federation. We are the Russian Volunteer Corps. We're the very unit that is fighting Putin and his army. Such people in Russia, of course. All ended up in their graves, in prison, or at best abroad. Shot. It came to the Avdiivka operation. It was like World War I. The enemy's casualties, for them, are horrendous. For me, it's a direct association with the orcs of Mordor, attacking like this. It's all a huge machine of death and evil, which must be fought with absolutely any methods. In this episode, a Russian guy who fights on the side of Ukraine is part of the Russian Volunteer Corps, abbreviated as RVC in the original RDK. We'll talk about his combat experience while he fights against the Kremlin, as well as the real life in Putin's Russia and many other interesting things.
Real quick before we move on, huge props to this guy that is Russian. Sounds like he may have been Russian military and then came over to the Ukrainian side. There is absolutely nothing easy about that because you're going to get people that are just hating on you, calling you a traitor and, a turncoat, and you flop to the other side. No, the truth is this guy saw the difference between right and wrong, and he went to the right way. That's it, point blank, period. This guy has stronger character than somebody who does see the difference between right and wrong and stays on the wrong side. Okay, so props to this dude.
Fire. Shot. The shell flew. Well, it's night, it's freezing, and we're near the mortar, preparing to repel another attack by our foes, who can think of no other tactics but to go for our shells, with which we congratulate them. My name is Alexei Lovkin. I am the first of all a musician, poet, traditionalist, and by the will of fate, now also a warrior. I joined RDK in order to become a commander of a mortar unit. We worked successfully in different areas. We were on the Zaporizhia front. Shot! It's Molot. Once flew. Copy that. We're watching. We participated in Operation Graveron, which is in the Russian Volunteer Corps, attacked the territory of the Russian Federation. We are the Russian Volunteer Corps. We're the very unit that is fighting Putin and his army. This attack was the first time in decades.
I've had a few people ask me when they see anti-tank or anti-personnel launchers like that, when they fire them, they throw them away. That's because they're single-use munitions. They come preloaded. You don't load that thing. You just flip the switch, press the button, fires, throw that bitch away, and haul ass. Okay, so those are single-use launchers. It's not like an RPG-7 that you carry a bunch of warheads and then you load them in. It's not like that.
That the heir to the USSR, so to speak. was attacked by someone from the outside. What do you say? Well, I can say that the borders are broken in half, and Grandpa Putin is freaking out. He's about to turn into fake honey. And it finally came to Avdiivka operation. That's how we get to Rye. We drive by instruments and by the ancient knowledge of our ancestors. Low-skilled non-stop work. Yeah, really non-stop. Our unit is directly protecting the lid of this, like potential cauldron. Fire! And it's protecting very successfully. According to the most conservative estimates, for a month and a half of our work, we have destroyed more than 100 enemies. These are very great achievements for us, because the ratio of our group and the losses we've inflicted on the enemy, they are amazing. There are fields, forest plantations. The fields are all riddled with shell hits, black craters. And the sparse forest belts, it's like World War I. You've seen the movies, right? Where the trees are just mowed down and bare sticks standing there. And between these forest belts, and of course it's almost impossible to take cover. All in all, it's such a depressing atmosphere. All the villages are broken, not a single whole house. That is, everything is in ruins. A lot of feral domestic animals live in the broken houses. They live there. Chickens, dogs, cats, all together. Well, I guess it's better for the wild animals. It's better because the fields are not sown. A lot of corpses, respectively, which animals eat. For example, the cats are well fed.
That's something that you will see on the front is the stray dogs and stray cats, man, are getting fat. It is so gnarly. They're literally getting fat from just dead human flesh.
We were in Avdiivka direction for a month and a half. The enemy acted in the same way there. That is, they have a direction through which they enter. They go and go and go. Then, after 3 weeks, they went through a neighboring wooded area. Again, they're all going in there and going and going. I'm sure now we'll be back and the enemies will just try to crowd through the third forest belt. Molot is ready. Once flew. Fire! Now the Russians begin to use a new technique, like digging individual trenches, where each fighter tries to take an individual position. This makes it difficult to storm the trenches, because you can't get into the enemy's trench, because each fighter has a separate individual trench. In the case of the wooded areas, it's just some holes that they occupy and try to move on. But overall, it's certainly savage, all of it. That doesn't seem like a tactic for the world's second army. Put it this way, for me, as a fan of Tolkien's work, it's direct association, really. I mean, with the orcs of Mordor attacking like this in this way, I think that given the customs of the Russian army in general, everything that happens there, all of this background, it's all very accurate analogy. The enemy's casualties for them are horrendous. All the woodlands are littered with their corpses. And the enemy continues to attack, literally every day. I watch the streams, and I'm amazed, of course, how they attack. Sometimes I see that either a very small group is attacking, or sometimes it's just one person. I understand that they are suicide bombers who have been punished for something, and that they are just sent forward, perhaps because something even worse than death awaits them in the back. They're put in such conditions that they cannot say no. Here, you have to understand that they have this because it is a cannibalistic terrorist state. And these people 10 years ago couldn't say no to dictator Putin. And now they can't say no to their commands who send them to butchery attacks, to certain death. where they walk between the stiffened corpses of their compatriots and die for the same? For what? Yeah, I can't say I feel sorry for them. They deserved it. But it's their state that did this to them. It's a criminal state that people like me started fighting against many, many years ago when it wasn't mainstream. I was born in Tur in 1984 into a family of engineers.
Imagine how bad that, like, the bad things that they would do to you if the better option was to push an enemy trench line by yourself. Sorry, my headphones died. But what I was saying was, imagine the threats that the commanders have to be giving to these Russian soldiers to convince them that going and dying on the front is better than whatever could happen, like he said, in the back, or if they don't push. I wonder if they like threaten their families and stuff. Like, if you don't go, we'll kill your kids and wife or something.
I studied well, was an honor student. I represented the school in various city councils. I was told that I would become a deputy. But, of course, when I grew up, I realized that in such a country, I did not want to become a deputy. And I had to become an enemy of the state. Because this state, when I was still in school, was headed by a terrorist. Life in Russia seemed unfair to me. And I was looking for answers to how people could live differently. And these answers I found in ancient history. I admired the history of the ancient Europeans, Indians, closely intertwined with the genre of music I was doing, which was black metal. At the time I joined the ranks of the Russian nationalists, it could be noted right away that 2014, which was the turning point in this whole story, showed that the majority of Russian nationalists supported Ukraine and the events on the Maidan. Why? Because we all wanted similar events of just rebellion to happen directly in Russia. All the more preconditions for this were there. There were young people who were hungry for justice and hungry for action. Perhaps stupid, perhaps suicidal, but action. These people in Russia, of course, all ended up in graves, in prison, or at best abroad. Russian nationalists wanted a revolution in Russia and wanted to overthrow Putin. Of course, this ended up with another criminal case being brought against me, in this case for supporting, as they call it, Russia's geopolitical enemies. At the beginning of 2015, I received information that my detention was being prepared. At that moment, I was in Finland with a concert. And from Finland, I immediately contacted my friends from Ukraine. And through European countries, then from Poland, I just flew to Kyiv. And after a couple of months, I had already joined a volunteer Ukrainian unit. I live the best part of my life here, and all the best experiences I've had were here. I managed to leave Russia and managed to realize myself there, thanks to the fact that Ukraine exists. That's why on February 24, 2022, when full-scale war started in the morning, I went to fight, and on the same day I got a weapon in my hands. We want the destruction of Putin's terrorist state in order to give the Russians the opportunity to build their own state that denounces the legacy of the Soviet Union and the Russian Federation. Because we don't have no other way. We don't want a country where people are raped on cameras in prisons. We don't want a country where houses are blown up. A country that attacks its neighbors under the pretext of denazification, essentially recommunization. This is Stalin. This is the NKVD. This is Beria and all the policies and repressions that were in place then. And that's a benchmark for them too. It's all a huge machine of death and evil.
Something I tend to kind of live my life by, right? If there's a controversial topic, I'll tend to research people who I know are very well educated, people I trust, like the smartest people in the world is what I consider them to be. And I'll go see what their opinions are on certain things. And So like this guy right here, he's like he said before, he's very well educated, but you could tell just by the way he's talking, this dude is very, very smart. He said he doesn't want to live in a country that attacks its neighbors under the pretense of denazification, right? Because that's what Putin's been saying. That's what all the Putin supporters and Putin fanboys say, that Ukraine's a Nazi country and all this shit. So it's cool to see such a smart guy verbalize why he is fighting Russia, right? Because it gives pretense, it gives context to the entire conflict and the war in general, and why Russians are leaving Russia to fight against Russia.
It's such a concentrated black evil, which must be fought with absolutely any methods, because it cannot exist, and it should not exist on the planet. Such a Russia. What is the interest of Ukrainians? In that the situation there changes, in that the Putinization takes place there. This directly coincides with the interest of the Russian people like me. If you were interested in today's episode and would like me to
Deputinization, I like that. Or deputinization, I like that. Again, guys, this is Resonance. I'll link their channel in the description below, like I do every single video that we react to, or every single channel that we react to. Just a couple finishing thoughts on this one. We get a lot of perspectives from foreign fighters on this war. We get a lot of perspectives from Ukrainians on this war. We get perspectives from a lot of people except for Russians, right? And hearing his take on good and evil, bad versus right versus wrong, I mean, it's very clear cut and simple. Just like I've said in past videos, there's no confusion in this conflict. Okay, actually, I had somebody in the comment section a couple of videos back try to explain why it's okay for Russia to in full scale invade Ukraine, because of some treaties that Russia made with NATO, and basically saying if NATO's not following the rules, then Russia's not going to follow the rules, right? First of all, the facts that he was citing were just completely incorrect. They were just actually false. And because I know this, because when I was reading it, it sounded off to me, so I just Googled it. I just did my own research. And what he was saying was wrong. It was incorrect. So this is something that you see in every comment section, in every social media platform, everywhere, right? It's not specific to YouTube. But specifically about this content, or this conflict, this war, there's so much misinformation. And this guy that was in the comment section saying this stuff, you could tell he was clearly intelligent. The way he was talking, the words he was using, his grammar, he was a smart guy, but he was just misinformed. So I don't know. It's interesting. And so you think this guy was like a European. No, I'm sorry. He was from Ohio. He was American. If he can get misinformed all the way over in Ohio to the point where he thinks Russia is not in the wrong, think about how easy it is for the Russians inside Russia to get misinformed, right? Because Putin and his regime, have complete control over all of the propaganda and their social medias and their marketing and the commercials and all that shit. So if this guy over in Ohio is getting brainwashed by by the Russians, it's pretty safe to assume the majority of Russians have been brainwashed for a long time. So it's cool to see somebody like this guy recognize that and remove himself from the equation. Get outside of that brainwash box and get an outside perspective to realize, to see clearly, right? Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for all the love on the channel. Sorry about this confusion with this other Saxon here in Ukraine. Like I said, he's given us a bad reputation. But, everything I'm doing here, I'm very transparent. right? I'm not hiding anything from you guys. I'm not claiming to be some crazy badass elite soldier. I was a trench monkey for a handful of months, man. But I got some experience on the front line and also in the International Legion to the point where I wanted to share this experience with people who are coming here. That's all. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.